for supporting our children, especially when they're having some challenging behaviors. And we can jump probably to slide 3. There we go. Thank you. So the first thing that I want to talk about when we're noticing some struggles with our kids, whether it be explosive behavior like a big tantrum or screaming or crying, or just that not following my directions, right? I'm asking them to do something, they're not doing it. One of the things we want to do first is listen and use empathy statements to try to understand. We would say things like, I wonder why you're still playing with your toy when I said clean up. Or that's a really big feeling. What's happening? Um, or even repeating back what we're assuming is maybe happening for them. Like, it looks like you want the other toy, or it looks like you want the ball right now. Or it looks like you feel sad right now. So, some of those empathetic statements to try to show that we're trying to understand and we're trying to support and help can really diminish either big explosive behaviors or even them just being stuck. They're like, oh, they know I need something. So always listening first. We also can use reflective listening. It's repeating back what we hear them saying or repeating back what we assume they need. And labeling their concern for them. I know a lot of our kiddos don't have a lot of language. And so being able to say, I think that what you want right now is this, or I wonder if you're hungry. Are you trying to get that toy? Those types of things. The next strategy we want to talk about is just showing love. This seems so simple. I'm sure you all are loving on your kiddos, but it's how we do it when they're struggling, right? We want to get down on our child's level and be able to talk to them eye to eye. I think as caregivers, we often are standing so much taller above them and we don't realize the power dynamic that has. We want to make sure that if they like touch, that we give hugs or tickles or like a rub on the back to show that we care and that we're trying to be supportive. Some kids really benefit from close proximity when you get closer to them, just because it offers more relationship. It says, I'm connected to you, I'm here with you, I care about what's going on right now. Being aware of what our face looks like. I am a mom to a 4-year-old, and I know that when I'm frustrated or when things aren't going the way I hoped and he's not using all his skills, sometimes my face shows my frustration. And so trying to make sure our face looks calm, our body looks calm, that we're smiling, and that we're just aware of what kind of nonverbal cues we might be putting off for our kiddos. The other thing that's really tricky as a parent, if you're like me, is to slow down when the intensity in the situation's rising, or we're in a hurry and we know we have to be somewhere, but our child is not hurrying, or they are stuck and we are trying to move on. All those things that happen throughout our day where we're managing adult concerns that they don't know about and they suddenly are having their own dilemma is really just to slow down. Um, and I mean that quite literally. Slow your words down, quiet your voice, get smaller. I talked about coming down to your kiddos' level, and slowing the entire situation down helps to slow the energy down, um, so that they have better processing time. Sometimes it means saying something again and just waiting, giving them some time to think about it and process. But trying to take the intensity and the fast energy out of the struggle can really benefit our kids. Another strategy we can use when they are not sure they want to follow a direction is a lot of encouragement and reassurance. Sometimes this looks like praising our kids and telling them what's going well. If we're praising them, this should be really specific. It should be labeled. For instance, instead of saying, "Great job," we would say, "Wow, I love how you're picking up all the toys and putting them back in the toy box. Thank you so much for being a good helper." Um, so the kids know what they're doing well. This is a great strategy because you get residual side effects from this if we label for kids what is going well and what specifically we like about their behavior, then often they'll want to duplicate that behavior at another time. I remember that my parent or my caregiver was so excited when I was picking up my toys and putting them in the toy box. I should pick up my toys and put them in the toy box again because that got a great reaction. Um, Sometimes just cheering our kids on. I also mean this literally. You've got it. You can do it. Okay, one more step and we're in the bathtub. We're almost there. Um, and kind of making it fun, but also that kind of constant praise of, "You're there, you're doing it, you did it, yay, you." Um, I think explaining how you know it's going to be okay can also be really reassuring. um, Sometimes kids are struggling out of anxiety or fear or the unknown. And adults already know it's going to be fine. I think about a kiddo I was working with the other day that accidentally spilt their water and instantly had a big reaction to the water spilling because for them, that wasn't a solvable problem. And so right away, I got down on their level. I used my slowdown strategy and I said, "Uh-oh, the water spilt," labeled their concern. "It's okay. I can wipe it up. Look, I'm wiping it up. No problem." So sometimes just walking kids through how we know things are going to be okay, that's a really simple example, but often um, their concerns are bigger and we know it's going to be okay because of something later in the day or something we've already planned for. So just sharing that information with kids, letting them know why you're so reassured when maybe they don't feel reassured. Um, and then explaining how you can address a concern that they have. Maybe you didn't plan for it and something unexpected happened, but you're like, "Oh, I could totally solve this." Or this is not, often we think this is not that big of a deal. If it's not that big of a deal, help them understand why it's not a big deal to you, what you can do to address their concern, um, and make it better. That often can help mitigate some of the struggle as well, instead of just redirecting them like, "Nope, leave it, come on, nope, leave it, come on." To be able to say, "We can leave that there because I know when we get home we can pick it up, or I know when we get home we can get back to it." Some things like that to let them know what's coming next. Another thing that we can do is use tough moments to teach kids. Um, Sometimes in our hardest moments with our children, it's a teachable moment. We don't always feel like being teachers then, but often it's a time um, where we can work on a skill a little bit more, especially if we catch things early on in an escalation cycle, right when the struggle starts, as opposed to when they're incredibly frustrated and maybe not available for teaching any longer. Um, we can show them how to do things. So sometimes we know things are problems. Frequently, we can predict them. Every day when I ask my child to this, it is a struggle. Those are things we want to teach proactively ahead of time. If we know something's a struggle, maybe we pretend to do it or we pretend it's time for it to get some extra practice in when we're not as rushed or it's not as imperative. We also can show kids how to do things. If we're asking our child to do something and it seems like it's really difficult for them, sometimes it's something that we need to do first and just model for them. I tell teachers a lot, we can do I do, we do, you do, which means I'm going to do it and show you how it works. Then the next time we are going to do it together. And then the next time you can try it on your own. Um, that can be a really great strategy at home too for helping kids learn new routines and get into the habit of doing new things that are more difficult for them. Um, Sometimes that means that we're doing it with them while we're doing it. Seems like that's hard for you. How about I help you today and we do it together? That's just a good model for our kids to have them see us doing it. It also might help them when a task or a routine feels too big and they're not sure how to tackle it. Watching someone else tackle it can help. Um, Another thing for tasks that sometimes feel overwhelming or daunting for children is to break it down step by step. If we say, clean up the playroom, and that seems like a really hard job because the playroom is a mess, we might say, first, we're going to put all the blocks in the block box. And then when the blocks are all cleaned up, say, next, we're going to grab all the stuffed animals and put them back where they go. Awesome. You grabbed all the stuffed animals. Now we're going to get all the cars. So we just kind of do things step by step. Same with routines like bath time, meal time, getting dressed, those things that to a child can feel really daunting because they have a lot of steps, can be really helpful when we break them down and tell them, I'm just going to tell you one thing at a time. Um, and then the other thing that I tell parents a lot is if we know our kids are learning a skill, then logistically, to the best of our ability, we need to plan for some extra time. We're not as fast when we're learning things as adults. When we get new jobs and we're trying new stuff, we're not as quick at it as when we've been doing it for a long time. And it's the same with our kids when they're trying new things and they're just learning and they're just trying to figure out how to organize a routine or organize a skill set. It's going to take them some more time to do it. Crosstalk is probably one of the strategies I use the most, and it's probably one that my friends that are parents use the least, but I love crosstalk. Crosstalk is where you are talking not to your child who's having the problem, but basically to anyone or anything else to kind of explore and problem solve the problem. You might talk to another person who's in the room. Sometimes I talk to my dog when I am trying to help my son solve a problem or a toy. I might talk to myself and just be kind of thinking out loud. But what you're doing in crosstalk is um, exploring the struggle or exploring the problem that your child is having. I might say to my dog, Ruby, I wonder why Kanan is not cleaning up right now. I thought he was ready to leave the house, but now he is stuck with all his toys out. I wonder what Kanan could do. Maybe he could just pick up the blocks first. And I'm just talking this out loud to the dog, not to the child. Sometimes they jump in to my crosstalk and then I can problem solve with my kiddo. But um, crosstalk can be a really powerful tool when done right for helping to organize your child's thinking and present some solutions and ideas without without redirecting them directly and having them feel like they got in trouble. Distraction. Most of us as parents are good at this and have used it a time or two. Um, and um, distraction is just one of those tools that when it works, and when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it's worth pulling out of your tool belt. Um, Distracting your child is about shifting their brain. Um, when we're stuck or when we go into crisis and we have a concern about something and we start to escalate, in both those situations, we tend to get out of the frontal lobe thinking part of our brain. The thinking part of our brain um, gets less energy, and the more heightened parts of our brain, our amygdala and the part that kind of kicks into fight or flight, gets more power. And so we're not problem solving well. We're not, we're slowly getting out of a place to figure out how to solve this problem. So distraction works really great because distraction helps a kid jump back into the frontal lobe of their brain with something non-threatening. You could find something preferred, like a toy or food or a pet or a different person. You could find something novel, um, like, oh my goodness, did you just see that bird fly over? What is that? Or I hear an airplane. Do you hear an airplane? Um, Sometimes switching topics all of a sudden, they're kind of repeating the same thing or they're stuck in the same cycle and it's creating either a stuck or a crisis. And we just switch topics often to a preferred topic like trains or monster trucks or ponies. Um, can help them be like, ooh, I want to talk about trains. Um, and snap out of it. It provides regulation, and then we can come back and revisit. The other thing, if needed too, and sometimes giving them a task or a job. So we stop whatever the initial demand was, whatever got us stuck, whatever was a trigger, and we provide a different job or a different task to kind of steer them to, like, oh, could you just help me really quick? Could we just set this in the kitchen? Um, and sometimes that can kind of snap them out of it. Jobs are great because if they involve going somewhere or doing something, they not only bring us back into our frontal lobe and help us get back into that thinking brain, but they also provide us movement, which changes our regulation in our body and helps to bring those levels back down and help us feel calm again. Um, so, those are really great options. For kids to kind of get them back to a place where then maybe we could solve the initial problem that got us stuck. I like this one too, especially with my silly face on the slide. Um, do the unexpected. This is exactly what it sounds like. Do something silly, suddenly start singing, make weird noises, do something unexpected. In essence, this is the distract technique, except for funnier. Um, this is something where you're going to do something that kind of makes your kid go, "Whoa, what just happened?" Um, and it's because it snaps us out of the cycle that we're stuck in. It helps our brain jump to something else. It does jump us to critical thinking because it usually jumps us to what just happened or why did that just happen? Um, which again can provide some regulation, can put them back into that thinking part of their brain. I will caution that there are kids who really do not prefer unexpected. So know your child. If unexpected is not their thing, probably not the strategy you want to use. But for many kids, it works to be silly and to do kind of unexpected things, helps break the tension and lets us move forward in the process of solving what's going on for them. First, then is great. This is something that can be done verbally. It can be done with nonverbal cues, gestures, or visuals. Um, a lot of parents have seen the visual first then cards, like the one represented on the slide. And then they'll ask me, do you just want me to carry this visual around with me? Do you just want me to have different icons for everything we do? No, I do not. I do not expect people to be carrying a bunch of visuals around. But we can use the same words and we can use the same concept to support our kids in a lot of different settings. Um, Once kids understand first then and they've used first then, especially with visuals that makes it more concrete, they're more apt to understand it without the visuals present. Sometimes I show kids non-verbally on my hands. I'll say, first clean up, then snack and pretend like visuals are present. Um, Sometimes I'll point to the things like first this thing right here, then that thing over there. So we can use some of those nonverbal cues to help make it more visual. This is definitely something that works best when they've seen it in a routine they understand and then it's translated to more novel routines. It helps kids understand time a little bit better too. If we're asking them to run an errand with us, but they know we're going to the park, but the grocery store is first, to be able to say to them, first the grocery store, then the park. Yes, we are going to the park. First the grocery store, then the park. Just creates more of a structure for them, more control and understanding over what's happening. And so it can be really helpful. We also have visual cards like this that say, like, first, then next, or like first this, then this, and when we're done this. So there's variations on this. It kind of depends what you need in your setting or for the routine. But it's a great way to help kids structure what the plan is. What's going to happen next? Often we know plans in our own heads and we forget that our kids would like to know the plans too. Use a picture. Yeah, visuals are great. Pictures are great. We often see them come from service providers or teachers as pre-printed visuals for a specific purpose. They can be put on charts like the one on the slide that shows schedules or shows what a routine is or which order to do certain steps in. Um, but but I probably most often pull visuals up at random on my phone. A lot of us are carrying cell phones around and have it with us on demand. And I will use my phone if I'm trying to explain something to a kid and they seem stuck or don't seem to understand what I'm saying. And I'll just try to find a picture. I will just Google search a picture that represents what I'm trying to explain to them. That's a really great way on demand out in public to try to find a visual that will support your child if you don't have a visual for the scenario that you're in. Um, there's also some really great tools and apps. Ask your service coordinator, and they can track me down if they don't know, that allow you to make visual schedules and allow you to make visual steps on different applications on your tablet or on your phone to show kids. Some of them the kids can check off and they celebrate as they do each step and things like that. So, just a really great tool, um, especially for things you do often, routines you do often, bath time, getting ready and trying to get out of the house in the morning, what we do at meal times. All those things can have pictures and be proactively made to help support our children in getting through those routines and understanding those routines. The other great thing about visuals is it can provide a lot of independence to your child once they understand how to utilize them. Once they understand pictures and they understand pictures as either a set of prompts to initiate something or a set of steps to get through a schedule or a routine, then we can start changing that to match any schedule and any routine because they already understand the concept of going through it. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but at the ESD, we'd love to connect with you if you would like to use something like this and you're not sure yet or you don't have one for what you need. We'd love to partner with you and make sure that we get you what you need. Follow a schedule goes right along with my visuals. Um, it's important for kids to have predictability, to know what's coming next, to know what's expected of them, to know how grown-ups are going to respond and what the grown-ups will be doing. So, daily routines can be really valuable. If we do our morning routine, getting out the door to work and school different every day, that's really taxing on a child. If we do it the same every day, the same expectations, the same pattern, the same routine, that makes it easier for them to meet our expectations because they know what's coming. It also helps decrease anxiety in the process because it's predictable and it gives them more control and independence because if they know what to do and they know what's expected of them, then they're more likely to do it on their own. Visual schedules can be great for this, like the one on the slide. And then we just want to make sure that we tell our kids if we have a normal routine and we have something that's predictable, but today it's going to be different, we want to tell them ahead of time. Usually we go straight to swimming after school, but today we have to stop at grandma's house and then go to swimming. So just making sure that they know when we've made changes to the routine and that they have a heads up about that um, helps them be able to engage in the routine more fully and hopefully over time more independently. Choices. Um, Giving choices to kids is about showing them that we're not trying to hold all the control. It's really about sharing control. Um, I always tell parents offer 2 to 3 choices. Usually, more than 3 is a lot for them to juggle and decide, especially below the age of 5. Um, but choices can be a really good option when a child is stuck on something or doesn't want to give something up. We can do choices about how we do the task that has to be done. It's time to go to the bath. You don't want to go to the bath. Do you want to hop to the bathroom like a bunny or do you want to walk big like a bear? Um, Both things get us to the bathroom. Both things are acceptable to me, but it offers some sense of control to the child about what's happening next. We also can offer choices like trades. This is especially good when you really need what your child has a hold of, and you need to take it away or remove it or do something with it. Sometimes a trade can be really good. You hand me that. I will trade you for this other very novel or very awesome thing. Um, and then choices allow us, when a kid understands the concept of choices, you can choose from these things, it allows us to say what is and what isn't a choice. Um, my son, my 4-year old, would tell you that I frequently say to him, that isn't a choice, which is true. That's probably the most common redirection in my home. So I'll say to him, you can run around on the floor, you can run around in the backyard, but running around on the couch is not a choice. So it says there's ways to do the things you're trying to do. There's ways to accomplish what needs to be done. Here's the choices we do have to accomplish that. Here's what is not a choice. Um, and that can be really helpful. I caution parents to be really thoughtful that your choices are all things that are doable and that are okay to you. So we wouldn't want to say to a kid, um, if we need them to start getting ready for bed, well, you can come get ready for bed with me, or you can be grounded tomorrow because you didn't get ready for bed. Okay, one, that does not solve their concern. Also, we need them to get ready for bed, so it doesn't really help us if they don't get ready for bed and we ground them. um, so instead, it would be like, what are some choices that help us get towards getting ready for bed? You know, we can race up the stairs, I can piggyback you up the stairs. I can things that get us going in the right direction, make sure they're doable, make sure they actually meet your need. And to the best of your ability, make sure they meet your child's need as well. We talked way back at the beginning about empathy and thinking about what the child's concern is. We want to make sure that we're doing that when we give choices as well. Offering a break. A break can be really good. And when kids learn how to take breaks, it can be something that they do at home or in their school or even in the community. We can promptly make a break space on demand. Kids just have to learn what it means to take a break, and we need to practice it when it's not needed and teach them about what a break looks like. We could use a calm down bottle or a visual timer. Usually, breaks have something preferred about them, like a comfortable blanket or a soft place to lay. Some kids like hiding, so maybe your break space allows them to be hidden. So thinking through break spaces and making sure that it actually is a calming experience and that it actually is something your child would want to access. If we label something a break and it's not something they want to access, then it's really just timeout. And we don't want to be labeling timeouts as breaks. So we just want to be really conscientious about that. Make it fun. This is all about taking the task that seems hard and making it more enjoyable, however you can do that. Turn it into a game. Do you want to race? Do you want to see who picks up the most? I bet I can eat that faster than you can eat that. Um, whatever is going to be engaging for your child. My son often asks for music. Can I play a song while we do that? So that can make it more fun. Sometimes competitions make it fun. All the siblings don't want to clean up, but we're going to see who can clean up their toys first. Know your child. If competitions aren't their thing, that's probably not fun. But if we can make a task fun, kids are more apt to engage in it. They're more apt to join us. And the last one I want to talk about today is planned ignoring. Planned ignoring is removing our attention from an inappropriate behavior because we believe that our attention to that behavior is reinforcing it or making the child do it more. Um, we would only remove attention from a child if we think that our attention is reinforcing the behavior. The rest of the time, we need to use the other strategies that are more supportive. But there are times that us engaging with a kid when they're using an inappropriate behavior is actually causing the behavior to occur more. What I tell parents is you need to be able to explain to your child before you remove your attention. Like, I can't pay attention right now, or I can't give you my attention right now, or I can't be close by you right now because of whatever the behavior is, but I would like to be by you, and I will come back, or I will talk to you again, or I will come closer to you again when you, and then something observable. Sometimes we say to kids, when you calm down, and they don't quite know what that means, or when you're being nice, and they don't know what that means. So when you are sitting and your voice is quiet, or I will come back when no toys are flying through the air. Um, Things like that help a kid know when your attention is going to return. So it becomes predictable and they understand why the attention left and how the attention comes back, which again makes it in their control. And I'm just going to say one more time to make sure it's super clear. Only use this strategy if you really think that the attention you're giving your child is perpetuating the behavior or making it bigger. The rest of the time, we want to use our other strategies. The last two slides in this slide deck are visuals for parents. They are just a choice deck of all the things we talked about. This is something that your service coordinator um, can get printed off for you if you'd like a copy at home. And we have it in Spanish as well. It's just a really great reminder. I know some parents put these on their fridge, so they just have it at home. Some parents take a picture and keep it on their phone to help remind themselves. Because when our kids are in crisis, we often go into crisis too, and it can be difficult to think of what our tools are and what strategies we should be using. So, is there any questions before we close out today? I want to make sure there's nothing that's unclear. Awesome. I am so grateful that you guys came to join us today and that you gave me time to talk through the Positive Parent Toolkit. I hope you have a great evening.
Thank you, Amy. And again, talk to your service coordinator if you have any questions. Thank you so much.